what you're doing tonight. Hope you're in the mood because I'm feeling just right. How's about a corner with the table for two, where the music's mellow and some great rendezvous? There's a chance for romancing with the blue attitude. You've got to do some dancing to get in the mood. Sister, what you callin'? That's a timely idea. Something swingadilla would be good to my ear. Everybody must agree that dancing has charms. When you have a certain one you love in your arms, stepping out with you would be a sweet interlude. Build a cropper that will put me in the mood. In the mood. That's it, I got it. In the mood. Your ear will spot it. In the mood. Oh, what a hot it. Be alive and get the jive. You've got to learn how. Hep, hep, hep. Hep like a heifer. Pep, pep, pep. Hot as a pepper. Step, step, step. Step like a stepper. We're mugging, we're hugging, we're in the mood now. Sister, what you callin'? All you need was fun. You can see the wonders that this evening has done. Your feet were so heavy till they hardly could move. Now they're light as feathers and you're right in the groove. You're only hungry for some musical food. You're positively, absolutely in the mood. Sister, what you callin'? I'm indebted to you. It all goes to show what good influence can do. Never felt so happy and so fully alive. Seems a jam and jumping is a powerful jive. Swingaroo has given me a new attitude. My heart is full of rhythm and I'm in the mood. In the mood. That's it, I've got it when I'm in the mood. Your ear will spot it when you're in the mood. Be alive and get the jive, you got to learn how. Hep, hep, hep. Your hep like a heifer full of pep, pep, pep. And hot as a pepper when you step, step, step. And step like a stepper. We're mugging, and now we're hugging, 'cause we're in the mood.
All right, one more song.
Da, 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 da. He was a famous trumpet man from out Chicago way. He had a boogie style that no one else could play. He was a top man at his craft, but then his number came up and he was gone with the draft. He's in the army now, a blowing reveille. He's a boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. They made him blow a bugle for his Uncle Sam. It really brought him down because he couldn't jam. The captain seemed to understand, because the next day the cap went out and drafted a band. And now the company jumps when he plays reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. A toot, a toot, a toot-a-lad, a toot. He blows it A to the bar. In boogie rhythm you can't blow a note unless the bass and guitar is playing with them. He makes the company jump when he plays reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. He was a boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. And when he played boogie woogie bugle, he's as busy as bzz bee. And when he plays, he makes the company jump A to the bar. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. Toot 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 to the ladder, toot to the ladder, toot toot. He blows it A to the bar. He can't blow a note if the bass and guitar isn't with him. And the company jumps when he plays reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. They put the boys to sleep a boogie every night and wakes them up the same way in the early bright. They clap their hands and stamp their feet because they know how he plays. When someone gives him a beat, he really breaks it up when he plays reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. Da 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 da. And the company jumps and he plays reveille. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. Enjoy the show.
When they didn't, was they were educated. They knew what it was they were going to do. And young people, do not take counsel of your fears. If there's something in this life you want to do, if somebody else has done it, that proves it can be done. And if you work harder at it than they did,
our doorstep in less than 24 hours. And we were ranked militarily 17th in the world. 17th. We'd like to think that we're number one. And since December 7th, 1941, that you will see on display here today and what they did for us so long ago. And speaking of World War II aircraft,
yeah, let's talk about this one right here. That airplane right there, ladies and gentlemen, is That's All Brother, part of the Commemorative Air Force. It has our Austin Parachute Club, who you will see jump out of that airplane in just a minute. That very airframe led the D-Day invasion. Just over a minute ago, they're attached to his legs, and then he leads jumpers out on their 120-mile-an-hour skydive. John started skydiving way back in the 1980s, about the time they invented gravity. You see all the other chutes there. We'll talk about them really quickly. The pink parachute is Mr. Steve Downey. The blue and green parachute is Patrick Framel. The red and white parachute is Kathy O'Sullivan. The gray, white, and blue parachute is Rich Cooprider. The blue and white parachute is Peter Brostowin. The orange and white canopy is Greg LaHarvey. And Mr. Bob Fertel will be flying a massive 1,200 square foot American flag. So we're going to continue to watch for the American flag to unfurl. The Dillard sisters are here with me. They're ready to go. So ladies and gentlemen, this might be a good time to begin thinking about standing if you're able. We're just a few minutes away from being able to start the national anthem, and we will get this air show started. So what a spectacular day. The folks like Kirk Noaker and his team have ordered up on the weather. You can't ask for a better Texas day than what we have here. Now look at the spectacular controllability of these expert parachuters. They'll land right at show center. Let's give them a huge round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, these canopies that they were flying under, really you can see them shaped there. They work just like an aircraft wing. They are steerable, they're controllable, they can control their descent. Sometimes you'll see them spin to come down faster. You'll watch them come around the side. And ladies and gentlemen, there is the American flag. So at this time, please stand. Gentlemen, remove your cover as we honor the United States of America with the singing of our national anthem.
He's just kind of waiting for everybody else to land.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We will wait as the last aircraft, the last flag makes its way down. Circling the aircraft, signaling the jumpers there today in the aircraft is Rick Kelly, call sign Thug. You'll see the word Thug printed large and proud on the bottom of that aircraft. Rick Kelly is one of your hometown pilots, part of the Commemorative Air Force Squadron right here in Burnet. We're excited to have him here with us as he honors America and our veterans as he circles the flag of our wonderful country. And we honor and tribute to all the men and women who have sacrificed and paid for our freedom so dearly as the American flag settles in. Watch now as we expertly bring the flag to show center. Mr. Rick Thug Kelly. That's just a teaser from Rick. We're going to get to see him ring that airplane out here. If by chance your camera wasn't ready on that one, they are going to come back around and do that one more time, ladies and gentlemen. So here's your chance to get your camera out. It's a perfect Texas day with the perfect sky ordered up by Mr. Kirk Noacre and his team. For Get Your Camera Ready, this will be a lifetime memory keepsake photo opportunity coming by as it comes by around one more time. And again, don't forget, that is the airplane, the airframe that led the D-Day invasion back in 1944. There are parachutes to you. Ladies and gentlemen, direct your attention to the north as you face the runway to your right. Here comes That's All Brother one more time. They have made that available. So don't feel like you have to stand in a long line. If that's what you're dying to have, feel free to go for it. But we will have lots more options available farther to the north. So please take your time and go get a snack and work that in. We are getting close to the next act. You can see Mr. Aaron Taylor firing up his Stearman here in front of us. It's a beautiful orange and blue airplane. You're going to get to see Aaron ring that airplane out here in just a minute. He's going to show you all the things that aircraft can do. Now, it plays an important part in our history as well. And you can see Aaron, as That's All Brother rolls behind him. He's dressed up like a barnstormer, and that's very period. We'll get to see this Stearman in front and center up close. Give Aaron a huge wave as he goes by. I tell you what, Aaron is one of those guys that the louder you get, the more you wave, the more he's going to do it crazy for you. So if you want to see him ring that airplane out, give him a wave. All right, he's going to go down and get ready to go, get the aircraft on conflict. Here's another opportunity before we get too deep into that story. Here's That's All Brother, ladies and gentlemen. Again, just like Aaron, they would love to hear from you, so hoot and holler and give them a wave as they go by. Thank them for being here. Thank y'all. They are from the Central Texas wing of the Commemorative Air Force. And just think about that very airframe, ladies and gentlemen, up close and personal, what the history is with that. Pretty amazing. Just ladies and gentlemen, you got this is the Boeing-built Super Stearman. Look now, ladies and gentlemen, this aircraft originally built in 1941 for the U.S. Navy. This airplane came back to the U.S. in the 80s, and it was restored then to the condition you see today. Ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Taylor and the Stearman. Hang on to your hat, Aaron. How about that? And he didn't lose his hat. So you might ask, what makes this a Super Stearman versus any other Stearman? The original engine on this airplane was a 220 horsepower aircraft, but it's been modified with a 450 horsepower engine. It has more than double roll the aircraft. The nose will turn from where he started that loop, look where it's pointed now, over 90 degrees to the left of where he started, and then he rolls out back right on the same heading that he started. That barrel roll, expertly done by Mr. Aaron Taylor. Wow, Taylor, Super Stearman.
In partnership with the city of Burnet here at the Burnet Municipal Airport. Let's go ahead and check out these beautiful trainer aircraft passing by. can see behind that trainer, we have Aaron Taylor coming in, just landed. Yep, give him a big wave. Trust me, these guys are hams. They really dig the attention. Great job, Aaron. First, so guys, we have valued you. You have been staples not only in the city of Burnet, but here in the Texas Hill Country and Central Texas in general. Thank you so very much and enjoy retirement. I hope you truly will retire. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kurt. Appreciate that very much. Mr. and Mrs. Faulkner, thank you for your service, and what a wonderful airport, and we are all so blessed to have a facility thanks to all of your hard work all of these years. U.S. Army Air Corps, our naval forces, and throughout World War II, and worked our way into modern day. You see a few of the T-6s and SNJs is the Navy version. The T-6 is named the Texan, and for very good reason. For those of us here in Texas, we're really proud of that. That's because a vast majority of the flight training throughout World War II was conducted right here in our grand state of Texas. We are very proud to have these aircraft. So you're going to see a lot of SNJs, Texans, some BT-13s, a BT-19. We're going to talk about all of those as they get airborne here in just a minute. Off to the right, you see an aircraft that's taxiing out there that's blue and white. It's a twin-engine aircraft. That's an L-26. We're going to talk more about that here in just a minute, but yet another historic example of aircraft that you won't see anywhere else but here at the Bluebonnet Airshow. That blue and white aircraft, L-26, is known as Ike's Bird. And it's named Ike because of President Eisenhower. That was all those tests, and you begin to fly things like the Stearman and the PT-19s, and eventually make your way to later in World War II into Korea, and later you see T-28s like what you see departing here. The T-28 used for many, many years. That aircraft right there, we'll talk about it some more. The polished silver one flew in Vietnam. This tan camo aircraft, livery of the French Air Force. So folks, me from Ike's Bird, and Gerald, I told the folks just a little bit about your aircraft.
Thanks for having us today, and welcome to Burnet. Ike's Bird is President of the United States. He was a Republican. He followed a Democrat by the name of Harry Truman. They didn't necessarily like each other. So they said, Mr. President, we have an airplane for you. It's called the Independence. And he flew it for many years. But he bought a farm in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and that big airplane couldn't land anywhere close. And they can't take a procession of cars all the way from Washington, D.C. to Gettysburg. So he said, get me a small factory. And all they did was add the stars and bars and the U.S. Air Force. So President Eisenhower flew on this aircraft in airspace one day. There was Eastern Airlines 8610. And the controller started calling 8610, would you turn left to heading one close to one another? The Air Force said, we can't ever have that again. So they designated whatever aircraft that the president wanted as Air Force One. So Air Force One, the name Air Force, this particular airplane was one of the aircraft that he used. Now there's an interesting story about the paint colors on the aircraft. The 1954 Oldsmobile line was the paint colors that Aero Commander used to pick out colors for the aircraft. So they went down to the Oldsmobile dealer, picked out a number of color combinations in the 1954 Oldsmobiles, and they put them on the 1955 Aero Commander. We are here today. We've got a tent set up in the food court. We'd love to have a chance to visit with you and talk some more. There is one more ride on the airplane. You can actually fly on Air Force One. Anybody here ever flown on Air Force One? Okay, we got the guy right there. David flew on the airplane this morning, so he's the only guy. So
into higher performance aircraft, and you see an aircraft like what's right in front of us right now with the yellow cowl and the red and white tail as a BT-13, enclosed cockpit version of the BT-19 called the BT-26 that was initially built for Canada that we used as well. Then they would transition into the BT-13, and that would take you into the Texans and the Harvards and the SNJs. Now the Harvard was used in Canada, it was built in Canada, built in the US and sold to Canada, and then the AT-6, the Texans were flown here, and we'll have some of those coming around here to the right. You can see them off the end of the runway as they're making their way around, T6s. But we may be able to hear it. I want you to listen for something special as these T6s go by. If you can hear that deep throat rumble, that's the engine. But if you hear a high-pitched kind of a pop, 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 pop as they go by, that's the tips of this 9-foot long. Let's listen as they go by here. It's a handful when it's on the ground. So we talked a little bit earlier about how the taxiing and having to turn and all that. The T6 has a tendency to ground loop, and if you're not very careful with the throttle, it will get away from you really quick. So you can see how our pilots, as we begin to train them, they had to learn and become more confident as they made their way to more advanced aircraft. And here you see the Beechcraft Corporation. You can see it has tandem seats, has the capability to have 2 pilots. Actually can put trainees in the backs of airplanes and begin to teach them navigation and begin to work on crew concept for some of our aircraft that had multiple crew members where they needed to work together and needed to learn to navigate and work together as a crew. And there you see the tan camouflage T-28 Trojan going over the top. Just a spectacular demonstration here, ladies and gentlemen. Now, one aircraft we haven't talked much about today is coming to you from your right here. The twin-engine aircraft with the red cows is the C-45. Sorry, the C-45 that you see going in front of you there, just a spectacular example with the red and white tail. 34. A little bit of wind gust there, just a spectacular airmanship by our airshow pilots here today in the T-34s. Another T-34, beautiful Navy paint scheme there. T-45 is going to make another pass, and up high, the T-28 going by with the smoke on again. We talked earlier, we have 2 examples of the T-28s here with us today. The T-28, after becoming, they all adopted it. Although the Air Force phased out the aircraft from primary pilot training by the early 1960s, continuing to use it only for limited training of special operations air crews and for primary training of foreign military personnel, the aircraft did continue to be used as a primary trainer by the... This is their famous double V formation. Ladies and gentlemen, Falcon Flight. The double V formation made with 2 rows of 3. Flight will conduct a series of figure 8s to inclined loop type maneuvers, changing the shape of formation on every pass. So watch as they go by. You can see now they have transitioned into what they call their arrow formation. And you can see smoke on there for a few minutes from the 4 outside and trailing aircraft. Drop from the leader's wing to number 4's wing. And here you see them now moving into that formation as they come by, smoke on. You see them complete that turn to the left. Watch now for the sequence pitch up, ladies and gentlemen. There's the leader. From your right. So, ladies and gentlemen, you see a great example here, waving his wings at you. He can see you. What happened there is, again, we said the only thing we have to do here is to be safe, and that pilot recognized that as he rolled out on final, he was a little fast and the spacing was a little tight, so he elected to go around. And that is just a great example of the ultimate safety that all of our pilots are focused on every time they fly. As you see each of our aircraft rolling out, he will circle around and make his way back into the landing pattern. And what you've seen today, ladies and gentlemen, is a formation demonstration by members of Falcon Flight and the Formation Flying Incorporated. FFI was formed to set standards for formation flying, and it's approved by the FAA to evaluate highly... We're going to let the Falcon Flight guys taxi by so that you can hear. Again, Karen Brinkley flying. And in the Air National Guard, they were forward air controllers. And Karen flies this aircraft in their honor for the men and women who provided those duties. Now, the Vietnam, and you'll hear here in just a minute, some of the later roles that the A-10 will take place. They will demonstrate some of the modern day 9-line creation that goes on. You see some pyro going off from our Commemorative Air Force, simulating some of the armament that can be dropped by both of these aircraft in addition to marking targets. You see Kevin coming back from left to right in his Jeep with wings.
Thank you so much.
Calling San Antonio, Texas, Kestrel Air Park home. Rick is a retired Air Force pilot with 30 years of service to our country. Let's give him a huge welcome here to the Bluebonnet Airshow. Rick retired out of Randolph Air Force Base in San Antonio in 2012, and he currently flies the Boeing 777 for a major airline based out of San Francisco. Thug is his call sign, and he's logged over 7,500 military hours and has a total of over 14,000 hours in civilian-type aircraft, including trainer. First developed in 1958, production in 1960. He was a primary trainer, like some of the American trainers that we've seen earlier today. Beyond being a trainer, its primary purpose was observation and light attack. Primary users were the giant Yak-18, although the squared tail fin is another good clue. Ladies and gentlemen, from the right, Rick Kelly, the Nanchang CJ-6. And the upgrades and mechanics on this aircraft were performed by Mr. Rick Kelly himself. Look now, ladies and gentlemen, as Rick comes down, he rolls in the Cuban 8, rolls level on the down angle 45 as he heads south. You can hear that engine as he pulls back, and then he begins to climb. Listen to the power go back into the aircraft as he climbs. There you see Rick demonstrating that Cuban 8 that we talked about. Rick Kelly, let's give him a huge round of applause. He's already got the canopy open. He can hear you. Holler at him. Let him know how much you appreciate him being here today. Here you get a good look at that flap we described, that barn door hanging underneath that wing. As Rick comes back in front, again, he's going to take an opportunity to wave at you. So wave at him and let him know how much you're glad that he's here today. Rick, good job, buddy. B-25 Marine variant, Devil Dog. There you see our Doolittle tribute pass with the pyro going off underneath it. After the attack, all the aircraft ran short on fuel. One diverted to land in Sioux. Devil Dog and the Doolittle Pass. Nose, and upon learning this, the engineers designed a solid nose with 58 50 caliber machine guns. There you see an expert demonstration of that low to medium altitude bombing that the Marines of B-25. Notice the bottom of the aircraft. If you saw the bomb bay doors were open.
Greatest generation. Our World War II generation. If you are a Vietnam vet, if you know a Vietnam vet, or if you served during the Vietnam conflict, this is for you. Welcome home. Light it up.
Major Form pulls back on the stick, sending the A-10 straight to the vertical. Showcase on the left, Major Form and the Gator Roll. Major Form is now preparing to swing back around. Now, full right, Major Form in a slow roll. Major Form is now executing effectively over the battlefield, even under marginal weather conditions. Let's go to the cockpit of the A-10 and hear what Major Form has to say.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of the A-10 DOS team, I'd like to say a huge thank you to all the great folks at Burnet, all the great organizers of this awesome event. We enjoyed coming back to this air show again this year. It's always a pleasure to be flying with you guys in Texas and showing off this awesome airplane. We hope to see you guys out there soon. Attack. Alrighty. Type 2, bomb on target. 123 from the overhead, elevation 1300 feet of SL, back in the open at the show center. No mark, east 150 meters. He goes back to your hold, requesting north and southwest gun. I'll copy. Reach back 1300 feet at show center, north and southwest gun, request reciprocal. Approved, good read back. Push immediately. Hog, I get down. Continue, up and in from the south. Clear hot. Clear hot.
Major Form. Major Form is now performing a jink out maneuver.
start. So radios are coming off until after engine start.